Okay, I knew the music was gonna be loud and I wasn't prepared for it, but today is day 44. I feel like I've been quiet for the last couple of days, so I just wanted to check in. Today is actually the GenAI session, so I'm like already a minute late, so I need to get that going. But it's been busy, so I'm just trying to get my life together. Um, Even though the daily streams are challenging, this is honestly one of the main reasons I'm staying as on track as I am right now with some of the stuff I'm working on. So, I'm enjoying going through the challenge so far, but I have an idea for how I can make some adjustments. Miss Steiner, welcome in. Happy daylight. It's daylight. I'm here in the daytime. I hope your week started off good. I thought I was gonna be saying like happy Monday, and it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. But hey. Okay, I need to get to class. Where is it? I'm not even sure that I'm caught up on the last session. I might be, but it's been so many. Thursday was so many days ago. Thursday was so many days ago. I don't even remember if I ever did the Thursday session. I have to see what the title is, and then I'll probably remember it based off that. But this already started. They'll probably be kicking it off now. So let me jump in. Yeah, usually logistics at the beginning.
We'll be answering your questions throughout. Each class does end with a live Q&A, so we'll bring Jason back, and the questions that are asked the most or that are voted the most by you are the ones that we will ask him. So make sure you participate, and that way you'll have your question answered. As I mentioned earlier, classes are going to be recorded.
Hold on, I'm going to turn the music down.
Available for you to watch back later on today. Last thing, we get loads of questions from you. Unfortunately, we can't share slides, but we do have all of the labs available to you, Cloud Skills Boost for free, and access to our GitHub repo for notebooks. And we'll send you all of that information, and you can find it at the banner above my head. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm going to bring Jason onto the screen. He's going to be leading our class today. And here he is now. Jason, the floor is yours. I will see you later for the Q&A. Enjoy.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my life together. What am I doing?
Great to see everyone this morning, and looking forward to talking to you today about how to actually deploy generative AI applications using Google Cloud. Just a little bit about myself before we get started. Like I mentioned, my name's Jason. I'm a developer advocacy manager here and representing the data cloud components in Google Cloud. So think of that as all the fun things related to using things like BigQuery, using data for more analysis. Then actually for this session, my prior life, I was a practice director for a system implementer where I did a lot of application development, including building cool pipelines for things like database applications, which we'll cover here today. All right, so what are we going to get to here and actually talk about? First, we're going to actually highlight some of the different serverless tools that are available. So when you take that notebook and then need to make that into production, how you can do that in a way that's very efficient. Next, we'll see how these services come to life and how you can actually host different generative AI applications. And then most importantly, and probably the most fun part, is we're going to actually use a starter project and show all these things in action. All right, so first thing, why would we actually talk about wanting to use managed services with generative AI? It's very easy to get started. And actually, I think one of the best learning experiences is using a notebook to go through and understand different concepts and how to do things like calling, Vertex APIs or calling things like Gemini. But ultimately, these aren't scalable things, and they're not designed to be able to manage change or to actually handle failures in planned or unplanned failures in applications and their targets. So, what that really means is that we need to think through how we can take our notebook and translate that into application and production ready code that we can deploy for the large number of users who want to interact with generative AI applications today. So, where does serverless come into this, and what does serverless actually mean in this context? Put very simply, serverless is a way where you can take whatever code you write, deploy it onto our infrastructure at Google Cloud, and we manage everything below your code level. So we manage things like how to actually provision enough instances, how to do different scaling things, how to manage connectivity across different instances. So things like databases and containers can talk together. And then ultimately provide the physical security so you know that all of your data or your application code is safe. And what this ultimately means from a development perspective is that you get to focus on the things that add the most value using generative AI. And we handle everything below that to make your life easy and straightforward. So what are the things that we actually have available? And this will be some product lingo, that you can use to talk about some of the different things that we have. First, I'll actually start in the middle because there's a very intentional reason that will work back. But Cloud Run is our way of running serverless containers here on Google Cloud. So if you think of a notebook as kind of a collection of Python scripts, what a container is taking that collection of scripts in a little bit different format, taking all the requirements that you may have installed to that, and building a package where you can essentially take that package and then run it on any infrastructure for that. What this means is that when you use Cloud Run, you take that container, we serve that container so it's live for your use, and then we actually support a number of different ways that you can interact with that container. First and foremost, you can obviously make HTTP calls like a live website. You can also run these though using Cloud Run jobs. So let's say you have a long running thing for doing like an evaluation process. Cloud Run can run in the background just as a batch job as well for that. As with all of this, we manage the stack below the application code for you, including letting you set different policies, different things like concurrency, and then ultimately having the ability to scale to 0 or maybe scale to 1 just to keep something running at a specific point in time. Building on top of Cloud Run is our product called Cloud Functions. And Cloud Functions actually uses some of the container capabilities of Cloud Run. But what makes functions even easier is that we actually manage some of the different deployment processes that we'll talk about here today. So with Cloud Functions, all that you have to do is submit your Python code or something else, and then we will manage the entire process of creating a container and then serving that container for you. We support all the popular languages. So as we think of our kind of learning journey, maybe with Python, but our application journey using something like Node.js or JavaScript, Functions allows you to package up a number of different things using the programming language of your choice. With both of these services, you can connect to all of the other fully serverless services on Google Cloud. So using things like Firestore for NoSQL databases, BigQuery maybe for some of your different vector embeddings or doing something like vector search, using things like PubSub for your message management so you can build detached services, and then ultimately also using things like workflows to orchestrate complex generative AI processes. All right, let's get a little bit deeper here into Cloud Run and Cloud Functions, get through a couple of slides here just how these fit, and then we'll get to the cool demo parts. So as I mentioned with Cloud Run, essentially what we're doing is we're taking source code and Docker files, which are just the ways that we tell a container how to build itself. We package all these together, and then you can ultimately use these with either HTTPS endpoints or some sort of event or schedule trigger for it. Note here that we do have free tiers for both of these products. And ultimately what that means is that you can get started, try something out, but then know that you're essentially only paying for usage of these when these are live in your processes. Functions also works very similarly. The only thing here again to call out is that when you deploy in Functions, you can actually only deploy the source code for that. And then we do everything else in terms of building that image and getting everything ready for you to actually run as a part of your process. And again, this is a pay-per-use service, so you're only paying for the things that you need to use on that. So where does this actually fit in the whole flow? If you think about what I do as a developer and kind of my inner loop development process on an IDE, maybe something that's running in Visual Studio Code on top of cloud workstations or cloud code. I check in that code to something like a cloud source repository or most commonly GitHub. Then what I'm going to do is actually do something like a build step using Cloud Build, where I'm going to publish a container and then deploy that container to my runtime, which is just my container service here, Cloud Runner, Cloud Functions on top of that. And what this looks like and what we'll showcase today is how we can take that code, how we build it with Cloud Build, we publish it into Artifact Registry, where we can also do things like security analysis to make sure that we don't have any large vulnerabilities, and then use the runtimes as a part of that. All right, so we're also talking about generative AI. Let's briefly cover a couple things here just in terms of what we're going to be building on top of that. And as you hear me reference things, I'll probably be referring to a lot of things as foundational models. These are just things like our Gemini API or our Palm API, where these are the base layer models that we provide as a part of Google Cloud for you to be able to use for doing things like LLM, embeddings for doing things like chat or text or something else for that. With Gemini, just as a quick reminder, we have two models currently available. So, currently available in Vertex AI, not necessarily one of our other retail Google parts. We have Gemini Pro, which is essentially for large language or natural language tasks like multi-turn chat or code chat and code generation. We also have Gemini Pro Vision, which is fully multimodal for doing things like image embeddings or other image generation as a part of that. And these are just some fun use cases as you start to play with Gemini Pro Vision, where you can do things like I think one of my favorite ones is image question and answer. You can actually ask different things about it, or some of the more creator type things like creating ad copy from different pieces of it. All right. Just a couple more things here, and then we'll get to the really fun stuff. So how do you invoke these different things? This is a very simple example of invoking the invoking the Gemini API using Python. So you can see, just like a number of different model calls that we make, we have a model which we essentially instantiate. In this case, we're using the Gemini prototype. We have configs, so we can do things like set our temperature. So how creative or uncreative would we like the LLM to be? And then how many tokens of information do we actually want out? So in this case, we may actually choose to limit tokens both in and out, depending on what sort of things that we're asking for the model. If this is a simple yes, no thing, maybe we would want to limit our output tokens just to reduce the actual cost against the model for that. We also have safety settings. Obviously, we're very big into responsible AI, different things that you can set as you're creating and analyzing both the message and the response for that. And then you can do things, just using common Python for parsing and all the fun stuff with it. We have a number of additional SDK pieces. So as these are released throughout the year, these are just ways that we abstract some of our different things to make it easier for developers to interact. With our Vertex AI SDK, it makes it easy to interact with Gemini and then to build different types of applications on top of that. And Gradio, Streamlit, Flask, or some of the popular, what I'll call Python get started pieces. We'll showcase Streamlit here in a couple minutes, just showing how to use those pieces together for it. And this one here is just another simple example of using a multimodal prompt that we don't need to cover from the last one that we just saw. All right, so let's talk about the application here that we're going to see. As a reminder, all of this is available on GitHub in our generative AI repo. And if you look at the QR code here, it'll link you direct to that. But in this case, what we'll be doing today is using a Streamlit app. And we're going to be interacting with Gemini using the Streamlit app to either create some different experiences, maybe create some creative for different stories or a marketing campaign, and then have some different fun things with an image playground and video playground, which you can use after this session is over. So what are we going to do before we go do it? First, I'll showcase here how we've essentially built a Streamlit app using some different Python methods with a Docker file and these sorts of things. We'll go ahead and get that deployed to Cloud Run, and then we're going to actually use it first here just to see the different things that we do. All the fun things here will be using the Gemini model as a part of that. Mentioned the GitHub repo here. Quick link if you just need to scan that. Quick thing here about Streamlit. So Streamlit is just a way that you can build some of the different cool things using generative AI. Makes it really easy to build some web-based frameworks. Just to make sure that something works. You may not choose to run these in production, but this may actually be a great framework if you're looking to do something like an internal application, maybe for something like a document Q&A where you're asking different questions of invoices or something that a user has received for it. All right. We talked about how we'll get this thing to production here. We're about ready to get to the fun piece here. I'm going to show you the steps here and what we're going to do first. We're going to clone the repo. We're going to create an artifact registry location. We'll build that container and then we'll get to Cloud Run. So let's do the fun stuff because we can have a great discussion here and I'll show you some fun things along the way as we get through it. All right. All right, I just switched over here very quickly. So this is the GitHub repo that we're going to be working with this morning or this afternoon or evening. So here I'm in generative AI, which is just under Google Cloud Platform. We can see here that I have a couple folders here. So first we have a number of samples that we've updated to use the new Gemini model. And then we actually have some sample apps in here. So you can see, in this case, I'm using the Gemini Streamlit Cloud Run. And there's a couple different files in here that we'll start to get into, but this is essentially something where you can either run this locally, which we'll do here in a couple minutes, or you can actually deploy this to Cloud Run. And by using the same container process, it makes it really easy to do things like local development and tests, and then deploy it up when you know that your things are ready for it. So let's look at this application and see what it actually does. So here I'm using a hosted version of this application. We already have this up and running on a Cloud Build instance, or sorry, in a Cloud Run instance. What we're doing though is we're actually calling the Gemini API, and we can do things here like generate a story, or maybe create a marketing campaign based on a number of different user attributes. We could have an image playground, so we could go through and we can use the model to understand some different questions, maybe about this image that we would interrogate. And we could also do this and go through and ask questions about video as well for it. Let's go ahead and just use the marketing campaign here to show some cool things that we can do. So here we're using this Python code that we have. I'm going to go ahead and add a few things here. I'm going to change a couple of my different things, but I do want to increase my brand awareness and generate leads. I'm feeling kind of serious this morning, so we want the model to generate some more serious copy for that. And then my target customer is here kind of in the upper quartile of different folks that I would like to get for it. And I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. You can see here that the application shows us that this is running. We're generating our marketing campaign. And what we can see here is that we have a headline. We have some different information about our company. We have objectives. We have some different product pieces. And then we have a number of different things in terms of channel methods and maybe call to actions that we want to actually give our customers in order to take action and generate that awareness that we want for this campaign to actually have. So that's pretty cool, right? We're looking at the in-state application here. All this is built using Streamlit. Let's look at how easy this actually is to build and then deploy using some of these other processes. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to share one of my Google Cloud Platform tabs. And here what we are is I'm actually in what's called the Cloud Shell Editor. And so you can think of this as our hosted version of Visual Studio Code. And what this means is that I can do all of my code development, including doing things like running containers, debugging containers, using different emulators, all within my browser. And what that means is that I don't actually have to have anything local to my device for that. There's a number of different organizations these days who want to make sure that all of their data is secure data, including application data. And using something like Cloud Shell Editor here lets you essentially keep everything in your organization's garden for doing different development purposes. It also makes it easy if you're a developer because there's a number of different dependency things you have to deal with when it's your device is a one-off that you have to manage as a part of that. All right, here you can see that we're in this Cloud Run application. You can see that I have a few files here that have been created in order to actually create this application as a part of our journey. First thing that we're on is our app.py. So you can think of this as what we took from our notebook and translated into actual Python script and functions for us to run. You can see that we have a few different import statements here. Imports just being ways that we're going to essentially get different libraries that we can call. Here we have some of our Vertex AI SDK components, so we can do things like interact with our generative models. And then we're actually getting some different project ID location, project ID, and then location or Google Cloud region for where we want to actually run this code based on what happens with it. Here you can also see we have some different Streamlit components. So here we're using a decorator to have a cached resource. And then what's really cool with Streamlit is that you can actually just deploy all these different components using Python. So in one of our first tabs that we looked at, you can see here I'm simply defining all the different input pieces using Python and script language here. I don't have to go create additional CSS or what happens with it. And created different organizations these days to actually have. Here, kind of in the upper quartile of different, or the call to actions that we want to actually give our customers in order to actually have. So that's pretty cool, right? We're looking at the end state application here. All this is built using Streamlit. Let's look at how easy this actually is to build and then deploy using some of these other processes. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to share one of my Google Cloud platform tabs. And here what we are is I'm actually in what's called the Cloud Shell Editor. And so you can think of this as our hosted version of Visual Studio Code. And what this means is that I can do all of my code development, including doing things like running containers, debugging containers, using different emulators, all within my browser. And what that means is that I don't actually have to have anything local to my device for that. There's a number of different organizations these days who want to make sure that all of their data is secure data, including application data. And using something like Cloud Shell Editor here lets you essentially keep everything in your organization's garden for doing different development purposes. It also makes it easy if you're a developer because there's a number of different dependency things you have to deal with when it's your device is a one-off that you have to manage as a part of that. All right, here you can see that we're in this Cloud Run application. You can see that I have a few files here that have been created in order to actually create this application as a part of our journey. First thing that we're on is our app.py. So you can think of this as what we took from our notebook and translated into actual Python script and functions for us to run. You can see that we have a few different import statements here. Imports just being ways that we're going to essentially get different libraries that we can call. Here we have some of our Vertex AI SDK components, so we can do things like interact with our generative models. And then we're actually getting some different project ID location, project ID, and then location or Google Cloud region for where we want to actually run this code based on what happens with it. Here you can also see we have some different Streamlit components. So here we're using a decorator to have a cached resource. And then what's really cool with Streamlit is that you can actually just deploy all these different components using Python. So in one of our first tabs that we looked at, you can see here I'm simply defining all the different input pieces using Python and script language here. I don't have to go create additional CSS or HTML in order to make that happen. All right, so we have this piece here, which is really what I call kind of our application component. Next piece that we need in order to actually have this application run is we need a requirements.txt. And for those who are not familiar with Python, this is essentially just a way that we say, here's the different packages which are publicly available that we need to go have and to execute for this. And then the last piece of this is actually a Docker file. And this tells when we have the build process, how to install those requirements, and then how to actually, when the application starts, what should be the entry point into the container. And kind of think of the entry point as, if you're looking at a circle and there's a hole in the middle, where is that hole actually located? So every time you can enter from that point. All right. So we have all these things, but the first thing that we want to do is make sure that this entry point's actually valid and that we can use some of the different services for it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just doing a quick copy paste to make sure I get the code right. But I'm in the terminal, and so we have essentially a hosted instance we can work in here with the Cloud Shell editor. I have a Streamlit thing here, so I'm essentially calling this entry point here. So the Streamlit, I'm going to run, and then I'm going to run my application code, and then I have my port and my address. And you can see here that I have a couple other things for local hosts that I've enabled. You can see here that now it says that I'm serving something and it says local host, but how would I connect to that? Because obviously this is a Cloud Shell editor and not something that I'm running locally. Well, as you think about that inner loop, one of the things that's really cool about working in Cloud Shell is that I can come over and I can actually hit web preview. And what I can do is I can actually preview this using port 8080, so it detects that something is already there. And as I hit that and I share this tab, you can see here that we have the same application, but I'm actually hosting this via my Cloud Shell editor instance. So as I make different changes to the application, I could see this actually changing in real time based on the changes that I make. So as you think about how we're always trying to shorten the development funnel, this is one of the easy ways to make that happen, is you're actually building these generative AI applications. All right, so let me come back to this here. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually take all this application code and we're going to do a few different steps in order to actually build our container for it. And in order to build our container, this is actually a really straightforward process. What I'm going to do is I could just create essentially this tag, and I'll paste it here, but I'm not going to run it because it takes a couple minutes. We'll showcase it here in a second. You can see here that I'm just using a gcloud command. And what I'm doing is I'm doing build submit. And then what this build command actually will do, you can see that I have the tag. And this is, in this case, this is what I want my container to be named once it's actually published. We can go through here, and then it's going to take everything that's in this directory. So my application file, my Docker file, and my requirements file. And it's going to create a container from all that stuff. And this takes a couple minutes. So
Jason,
yep.
Sorry, just interrupt your flow. Can we zoom in a little bit? We've had some feedback from the audience. Great, thank you. I'm disappearing again.
There we go. All right. So here's the command, just for those following along. Here's the gcloud build submit. Here's our tag reference here. And if I come over, if I was to submit this, I would come over to the build history. You can see here I'm just, let me share. I'm under cloud build. We can see that I have our history, and then I actually have this build that I executed, which has the container that I created. And here, let me just close that a little bit. Let's say we want to go through and see all the steps. We could go through, we can see as a part of this build that we actually went through, we downloaded a couple different Pippy packages. So here we have the Google Cloud AI platform, some cloud logging, some Streamlit. And then we actually went through and we created our image with our entry point, and then we pushed this to Artifact Registry. So let's shift over to Artifact Registry and talk about all the cool things that can do for some of our application use cases. All right, so we got that built, right? But where did we send it to? You know, what is the point of actually building this and creating something? And then how does this work with some of our services for it? So here I'm in Artifact Registry, which is essentially a Google Cloud product, which allows us to do things like publish containers, or to publish other things like having an internal Python registry for different applications as a part of that. One of the things is you're thinking about how to do and build a secure pipeline for some of your different things, is to have a place where you can actually host different containers or different things like your own Python packages, which you've scanned, in order to know that you may not have a vulnerability that's been introduced because of something where you downloaded a specific package, but there was another dependency that then had a large vulnerability happen. These are ways that as an organization or as a developer, you can control the different versions of things that you may use as a part of that. Here we can see that I've created a Streamlit app here. And we can see here that I have that first image that I've done. This is a Docker image as denoted by the Docker whale here. And I can come and actually look at what's in this. I can see some of the different dependencies, which in this case, there are none. But more importantly, I can actually see some of the vulnerabilities as a part of the container scan that went on for this. So this is just an automated way that we could say, as a part of some of the different things that may have been pulled in, what may be going on in terms of different things that may need to be fixed. And think of these as different security vulnerabilities that may have been introduced as a part of some of our Python packages. So we can see here that we could actually go and get some different information about these, but we could also look and then apply some fixes to this container in order to get these different vulnerabilities essentially mitigated as a part of our process. So all this just is ways that, trying to make this easy as a developer to manage all the security of our application, but also make it easy to deploy as a part of those processes. All right, so let's actually build this out now because we're about to the fun part. Let me share this piece here. And then as a part of all this stuff, what we'll do is we'll actually do a very simple command. And what this command will do is it will then build our Cloud Run service with our container for it. So I'll go ahead and get down to a new thing here. And let me copy and paste this command in. All right, what is this command going to do? So this is essentially another gcloud command. But here what we're doing is we're calling the Cloud Run service, and we're going to deploy a new service to that Cloud Run service. And here you can see what we're going to do is we're going to deploy an HTTP service that's open on port 8080. We're going to allow unauthenticated requests. So this will just be a public endpoint that we'll be able to call. We're going to use that image, or in this case, the Docker container that we just looked at here. So it's hosted at that Streamlit app using just an environmental shell command here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set a few environment variables so it knows the Google Cloud project and the Google Cloud region. And then we're going to also set the region and project as a part of our build process here. So I'll go ahead and just hit enter for that. Oh, and I got to make sure that I set my environment variables here. So I'll go ahead and paste these in again. And we'll go ahead and execute this. And then we can see here that we get a little bit of interactivity just as this new service is being deployed. So we can see that we have our new service. It's already set our IAM policy. And then once this revision is created, we'll actually be able to route traffic to the latest revision, which in this case will be the first revision for it. All right, so we can see here's our new service name. We have a Gemini Streamlit app. We have essentially a long, kind of GUI name, which is the specific revision that we've launched. In this case, it's the very first one. We're serving 100% of traffic, which is great. If you want to do things like have different A/B methods or blue-green deployments, you can obviously use this in order to set traffic as needed. So maybe scale up from 0 to 1% to your new container, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 100. And then last but not least, we have our URL here, which I can go ahead and just take. And then as we look here, we can see here, and it looks blank for a second, but this is just the container starting up for that very first time. So what's happening is that Cloud Run is pulling down our container, and then it's actually getting it all started up. And then we'll have our application here available and fully hosted and available for use, all in a matter of minutes using Cloud Build as a part of that process. And then here we can see that we actually are on our first page. So we could generate a story. We could have mittens, but maybe I want to name this guy Charlie. We have a cat. And what's the characteristics is Charlie is a cat. And I can go ahead and generate this. And we can see here that once this piece here has been created, that we've actually then fully done a journey where we have our Cloud Run app. We've connected it to our Gemini API within our project, and now we're actually able to go and generate those insights for it. And apologies here, I just made it a little bit bigger so you can see some of the different story pieces that have come into play for it. All right, last thing here that I'll share just to kind of summarize what we actually created, because this is the fun thing that we're serving. So here I am back in the Cloud Console. Here we are under Cloud Run. And what you can see here is that we deployed a service, and here is our service that we deployed, which is the Gemini Streamlit app. We see that we deployed it in the US Central 1 region. We allowed all access to that. So our ingress is all, and then we allow unauthenticated requests. We can also see that we deployed this about 2 minutes ago. If I go ahead and click into this, we get some very quick metrics about different things going on in our application. So here you can see we actually had our request come in. This is actually in Pacific time. So you can see here that we have a few things that came in about 9:30, 9:40. We have some different things about our request latencies. It shows you how many containers that we have executing as a part of these requests. And then also if you have questions about, how much container time will this bill, those fun things for it, we have all that information available as a part of these dashboards for it. I could also go through if needed, and maybe I need to define things like SLOs. So think of these as, are there metrics about my container where I would want to be alerted if something were to happen. I can set different networking things. If I need to maybe have a back-end service and a front-end service, only allowing my front-end service to be directly accessible via the internet, and my backend service only being able to be accessed via another Cloud Run service. I can set all those pieces here. And then most commonly, the other piece that folks typically ask is, well, to not have that startup time, if this is a production service, maybe I want to actually have a minimum instance of one. So I always have a container running just to make sure that I don't have that cold start latency as a part of these different things for it. All right. And with that, I'll wrap this demo up here. Hopefully this was really informative for everyone here to see just how easy it is to actually go through and do these different steps to create an application deployment. But I'll shift back over here to the deck just to make sure that I've covered the material. I have. So Luisa, I'll kick it back over to you here for Q&A and other things we can answer.
Well, that was quick. You covered that so quickly. Thank you so much. We had some great feedback coming in and loads of questions. So I am going to shoot over to the first one. How can Duet AI help in converting Colab notebooks into a cloud function app? More importantly, which front-end development approaches, like Flutter, are best to launch quickly?
Yeah, great question. So as you think through some of the development things, one of the things with Duet that you can do is taking those different chunks of a notebook and maybe saying, hey, for a specific function, using the generate piece to actually take those pieces of code and then wrap it into a Python function that you could do. Another thing just to think through that, which is kind of nice with it, is let's say you need to move around import statements or create something in something like a Flask framework. You could do that using essentially Duet AI to stub everything out, and then all you're doing is a little bit of copy pasta in order to move some pieces around for it. To the second question on front-end development approaches, this is kind of like there's definitely a big piece there of what's your preference and what's the use case. So as I think about something like Streama, which is kind of a package both front end and back end. Mm-hmm. One of the things that's nice about Streamlit is, let's say you have it's just an internal application that a few users are going to use. It makes it very easy to get to value very quickly for it. Now, when you start to get to those production applications, things like maybe Flutter for your front end, Firebase for the back end are definitely more common, what I'll call Google ways to build some of these things. But you want to make sure that you're splitting both your back end services and kind of that front end component. That way you can iterate on both of them, essentially asynchronously for that.
Yeah, super helpful. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I have a question regarding. Oh, had you finished? Okay, I've got a long list. Get comfortable. I have a question regarding deployment. Is it better to do it in Docker and then deploy as a serverless app, or as it's usually a web UI, to make an endpoint and connect the web UI without the Docker involved?
Yeah, so hopefully I answered this question right, but feedback in the chat just if there's a clarifying one. So typically what I recommend, is different deployment processes. One is you make sure that you have a front end and back end service if you're building an application, and that's kind of two ways to think through these different pieces. First off, for your serverless app and your backend, when you deploy those services, they're available just using API calls. And then you can actually have a front end or maybe just direct calls that something may need to make to that. What that allows you to do is a couple things. First, you can control your security ingress points just on the front end service. And what that allows you to do is to say, hey, this is the only place that a user can actually access something, while keeping your backend services essentially only accessible via that front end one. I also typically recommend it's really easy to get started with some of the different serverless things just by submitting code to it. But what eventually most companies or users want to do is to be able to do things like pin versions of something. So I want Google Cloud AI Platform. I'll make up a version number 3.14. And by using like the requirements, like by creating a Docker, usually that gives you more control as you start to build more scalable services with that. So I kind of think of it as a gradient of quickest way to get started, most durable in production. There's good times for each of those pieces in particular as you're learning different services, but having Docker files, doing these things are usually what I recommend. Or if you have a different build processes in your company, making sure just to follow that, because there's probably additional security vetting things as a part of it.
Got it. Follow the pathway.
Yep.
Can the prompt use file input with more than the token limitation? For example, I want to ask Gemini to recommend a movie that does not appear in a given movie list file. How can I do this?
Yep. So great question. One of the ways that you could think about, as you're doing prompt design, we obviously have a lot of context that we want to bring to a model, but there's a number of times where a model just has to have what we call kind of skills in order to go identify things that it needs.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things to consider as you're thinking about asking Gemini things is how you could use what's called a React framework. And React essentially in this case would be, hey, Gemini, here's the different skills that you could go use in order to answer these questions. One of those could be, scanning a list of embeddings for movies that you may be interested in for that. So in this case, what you're doing is you're giving the LLM the tools, and then it's going and searching the embeddings and doing different things to get through it. But you're not necessarily just providing everything as context at the outset to the LLM in order to answer the question.
Okay, got it. So I think we had an embeddings class, so it might be helpful for whoever asked that question to go back and review that session, because that was a
Yep.
good kind of 60 minutes on the topic, but that was super helpful. Thank you. They're still coming in, Jason. On which step of the deployment pipeline would you fit RAG?
Yeah, so as you think about, and this starts to get to more complex like production deployments, there's a couple of things when you start to build a RAG, right, that you're going to do. So one is you may just have, let's talk about the data and then the application separately. I may, for a RAG, have a number of streaming attributes that are just coming in, about new things coming to light, right? And maybe I'm doing like an hourly scan of news or something else that I need to convert to embeddings for my users to answer. Or I'm a contact center and I have a number of chats that are coming in, and I'm continuously looking to scan those pieces for it. That pipeline, in terms of the development and production, what I'm doing in that case is I'm getting all of my embeddings ready, and I'm probably populating them into something like AlloyDB or another thing for actual serving for it. So then as you think about, where am I doing the development of some of my RAG pieces, RAG is just a method that I'm using in my application in order to actually create like a model that makes sense, right? And so in my development flow and in my application code, I may be connecting to a development database that has a subset of embeddings, but I'm using that to essentially write the good application code. And then as I promote these things up through the stacks, I'm ideally promoting my data code. So how am I building my pipeline? Roughly the same time that I'm doing my application development, because we don't want data pipeline of 0.1, an application of 4.0 with it, there's probably some features in that data that I need to make sure that are coming available for it. So in this case, RAG is just a part of my application, and I in the deployment pipeline, as I'm deploying things up, I'm just making sure that all of my different ships are essentially going in the same direction in my deployment. This is where having something like GitHub Actions or cloud build workflows and pipelines really make a lot of sense to keep all of these different things synced when you move up through the stack.
Got it. Again, we've got another deep dive session that we had on RAG last week. So again, for whoever asked that question, might be worth going back and having a look at that session too. Okay, let's say I need to process a few images. Just to save some time, would you recommend running multiple requests to Gemini in different threads?
So good question. A couple things just to think about is you think about what essentially is time blocking, right? And there's a couple of pieces with that. One is what is the QPS limit of the Gemini service? So for a while, I think it was like 6 or 60 QPS was the maximum number that you could essentially go through on this stuff. That's probably one of the most important QPS metrics to think about. And then the question really is as you're submitting it, what are you submitting that is either single threading or multi-threading a request? So, let's use like Python as an example. If I have a dictionary or a list of 10 things and I'm doing a for loop, that for loop is going to be sequential. So you could use something like Python multi-process to essentially open up multiple processes to it. Just know that when you do those things, right, that if it's only a few images, you're probably fine. If it's many images, like I've accidentally broken an API in my early days of development because I slammed it with so many requests, and I had essentially like an open loop on it. So just keep those different things in mind. You could do something like run multiple requests. It's probably dependent on the actual number. When we say a few, how many it is.
Yeah, got it. How can you talk about Cloud Shell Editor and how it's different from Cloud Code? Or can you talk about Cloud Shell Editor?
Yeah, so Cloud Code and Cloud Shell Editor, I probably use a little too synonymously as we go through it. What I was showing today is essentially, even though it's the editor, it is Cloud Code within there. So I'm using the new VS Code, essentially, which is Cloud Code. And then the editor is just our hosted runtime. If you're curious, different ways that you can actually kind of have an online, or an in-browser experience. There's Cloud Shell Editor with Cloud Code, and then the other one is actually Cloud Workstations. And Cloud Workstations, depending on what you're looking to do, provides you a little bit more control as a user and does things like allow you to run an instance in your own VPC. And then there's some things also, in this case, because Cloud Code is very VS Code focused. If you need to run something like IntelliJ or one of the ideal suites, you can do that on workstations instead of Cloud Shell with Cloud Code.
Okay. Got to weigh up what we want to use it for and then make the decision based on that. Got it. Like with everything in life, right? If we've got two options.
I used to be a consultant. It all depends.
Pros and cons.
Yep.
Does Cloud Run include the CI/CD process for the development process?
Yeah, so in this case, because and this is largely showing some of the get started things. When I go to Cloud Run, when I'm deploying a new service, what I'm just doing there is saying, okay, as soon as the new service is live, route 100% of the traffic. If you have additional CI/CD requirements, I would encourage you to look at a product called Cloud Deploy. And Cloud Deploy actually allows you to have different targets for different Cloud Run containers or GKE, essentially clusters and pods and services. And so let's say you have it's very common to have a three-stage development thing. So I have my development, I have my test environment, and I have my production environment. With Cloud Deploy, you can set different targets, and as things move up, maybe have additional tests that get executed, and then have some sort of human in the loop process for them saying, great, it tests, it's ready. I'm going to manually approve something because I want that user control, and then have it start to run up into the into production. And then with that, you can also do something like a blue, green, or canary, depending on your deployment methodology to actually do that. So the answer is yes, kind of. There are a few components in Cloud Run where you could do things like not scale service traffic immediately, but for more of the probably traditional CI/CD things, I would package this with Cloud Build and Cloud Deploy at minimum.
Got it. Detailed, thorough answer for whoever asked that question. Last one, and then we'll leave you to it. I would like to use the ideas presented here to develop and host a proof of concept web app to share with prospective clients. Assume that anyone with the URL to the web app can use it. Can you please comment on additional aspects I should consider with respect to security, availability, scalability, and any other ility you suggest that I should consider?
Yeah, so I think this is a great kind of summary question of some of the different concepts we talked about. So, first and foremost, if you're thinking web app, right, that's publicly accessible, you definitely want to have some sort of controls, right, in terms of your front end and back end, because your back end will have access to the world, your front end should not. So, right there, in terms of your security components, separation of concern is very important. And then making sure that the backend is locked down so only the front end service can actually talk, to those pieces for it. What that allows you to actually, as we think about all the other ilities, is it allows you to decouple a number of different infrastructure components. So first off, in terms of availability, you can manually set different scaling thresholds, for your front end or for your back end based on the needs that are coming through, from your different services. And in this case, we're talking about LLMs, large response sets that have to be worked with. You may have very different scaling requirements and container sizes on your back end than you would for your front end, which may be, a simple hosting service. There are a number of front end pieces, which I won't get into here, but doing things like making sure you have, SSL certificates, cores, cloud armor, like all the basic things in terms of, protection against like DDoS and all that stuff. But I think the simplest place to start is when you separate these things, what it allows you to do is use serverless things on the back end. So, keeping it simple, right? Using Firebase or Firestack for going through, doing these different component tests and those things on it. And then making sure, that you're just going through and saying, hey, great, I got my service pieces. How do I do these other pieces as a part of it?
Got it. Thank you. Plenty to think about, plenty to take away.
I think it just ended, like, just then. I was a few minutes behind because I had rewinded it. So, dang, I always mean to. I always mean to open it up in YouTube, so that way I don't have to wait for them to repost it. But that's fine. That's fine. I want some. Wait, let me turn this down. Well, it was down, right? Okay, we could turn it up a little bit. All right, but anywho, Rosier, I don't know if I missed you, but welcome in. Yeah, I was kind of in the zone. I was trying to be anyways. That was good. I think the session is good though. I definitely right now at this very exact moment am thinking about ML model deployment, what that needs to look like. So it was perfect timing. Wait, today? Oh, this is for the 15th. Ooh, it's getting thick. It's getting thick. This week, the material is like a lot because that was all deployment stuff, which was good. He basically told you everything you need to know. Like, but because assuming that you already have like some experience in what that's supposed to look like. So to me, I got a lot out of it because it was just enough information to show like all the components that you needed to look into, which I appreciate. But I'm already familiar with like production deployments and how that code like how I'm imagining it going. So that really solidified some things for me. And then I didn't know they had cloud. What's it called? The cloud editor. I didn't know they had that cloud editor. So okay, this song getting deep. I didn't know they had the cloud editor. So that is something I want to look into as well. I had a question when they were showing it. I think one of the first things I wrote down was, oh, can you use the CLI to interact with the Cloud Shell editor, basically to work outside of the browser? So I'm just kind of curious, like how flexible it is, because in reality, yes, I love the idea that it's like, okay, especially for ML, like I don't have to have any local setup necessarily. I can manage everything through the cloud, but like having to depend on web access to do any work is also kind of not ideal. So I'm like, I kind of want to see how that's set up, because I can't imagine that somebody would just completely set up workstations in the cloud with no, I don't know, but I could be wrong. That might defeat the purpose. So I think I actually want to look into that first, and then I need to see what lab did they give us. Oh god, I'm on the wrong screen. I need to see what lab did they give us. Thank you. All right, so I can get into cloud and look for see, like I wouldn't have even, it's so many services when you are on a cloud platform like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform. It's like when you come in here, you gotta know what you're looking for. So yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm glad they even said something about the cloud editor and made that a part of the demonstration, because I wouldn't have even thought to look for that, because that's different from cloud workstation. Let me see. So yeah, this is about to be random long scrolling, so I'm not going to do that yet. Let's go see what the lab is, because the lab might actually walk me through some of this stuff, unless the only thing that they provided is the notebook. Let me see. So usually we have the resources, and they update our labs every week. So this one today, there's a demo app. I think it's probably the live app. GitHub repository, which I already have. So let's go into, okay, first, usually what I do is, because I like the labs, okay, I need to go back and do this one, but yeah, I want to find a lab, so I'm going to see if Cloud Skills Boost, if I can find a lab. Sometimes I find them, sometimes I don't. This would be for ML Ops, though. They have a whole ML Ops path, so pretty sure I'm going to find something. They have DevOps. Because of DevSecOps, the all the stuff they were talking about is really more like SRE type work. I thought there was like a ML Ops specifically, but you know what? It might be inside of the MLE path. Let me see. I wish I could like pin some of these. Hold on, let me see. It just shows in progress courses. Okay. All right, so I'm going here. I know they have ML ops in here somewhere. Production, machine learning systems. That's development. Here's the ML ops right here. Getting started, and then Vertex AI managed features, pipelines. Ooh. Oh, Google. Let me see. This is probably a bunch of labs. Build and deploy machine learning solutions on this. Let me see. Yeah, see. I'm kind of getting the hang of Cloud Skills Boost. Just a little bit. I'm always like digging through this to find where I'm supposed to be based on what I'm looking for. So these two that have ML ops on them, I'm thinking those are going to have, actually these three, this is pipelines. So I'm really wondering, because this is going to be more advanced, I'm wondering if the getting started has like a similar lab to what we did today. Oh, training and deploying a TensorFlow model, but it's deprecated. That sucks. Y'all don't have like something redirecting you? I wonder, let me see. Maybe the lab redirects you. No, it just has. This looks like the right this looks like the right lab too. It starts with training the model. Creating the abstract, containerizing. Yeah. Run custom, run a custom training job. Okay. I wish. That sucks. This is exactly what I wanted to. Okay, but it's deprecated, so let me see if they got something else for me. Maybe, possibly. So we were here. Let's look at this one. Streaming ingestion SDK. No. Oh. Prepare data from BigQuery, create a new feature store, create a new entity type, create and write features to the feature store, read features back. Purpose of this lab is to show learners how to use MLOps tools and best practices for deploying, evaluating, monitoring, and operating production ML systems. I think this might be this might be my best option for right now. It looks like it walks through the whole process. Let's see. Setup. Oh, that's lab setup. So you will have Cloud Shell. That'll help because I wrote this down too, that I want to start looking into the Google Cloud CLI, because there was a lot of commands that he was showing today. Here's the overview. I feel like their setup is really, it is developer friendly from the way my brain is working right now. So he already showed us how to use some of the main commands that we need, and the different feature flags and what they are for. Maybe not feature flags, but the CLI flags. Cheat sheet. So here's some commands. And then the installation is right here. So right now I think we're going to be doing this in the cloud, but eventually then I'll install it locally. I'm going to save this to Startup School and GenAI and Google Cloud. Okay, so the CLI commands we need. We're going to start with a notebook. I want to see converting from a notebook to production, basically, because that's the flow he was talking about today. Enabling the notebooks API and then enabling Vertex. Creating the notebook instance. Cloning from a repo. Ingesting features into your feature store. Oh, this is stream. Ingestion streaming. I think this is exactly what I want to see too. In order to perform all tasks, you need to read all explanations and follow the instructions carefully before running each cell. Some tasks may take 1 to 3 minutes to complete. Wait for each task to be completed before proceeding to the next one. Okay, so I'm glad they said that, because last time it was we were deploying a service on one of these labs. It takes 30 minutes to to deploy. I wasn't expecting that, so that's good to know. Some of these labs, especially with the machine learning, if you have to do if you have to deploy certain type of services, it's going to take some time. So it's good to know, read through the lab and see when you might have gaps, because you can, if it's a notebook that has a lot of good context, then maybe instead of reading it first, go through some of the steps you need to go through, and then you can kind of while you waiting for your service to deploy, you can go back and read a section or something like that. That's basically what I've been doing. So, I have been interested in streaming though, specifically. Okay, well, that's the end of it. What's in this one again? That's just the cloning. Okay, but this is a whole notebook that you have to go through. So, pretty sure that's where that'll be kind of like a sub deep dive, if that makes sense. That's a whole nother section basically by itself. Training. Training data analyst. Where's this coming from again? Oh wait, the GitHub link was right there. Google Cloud Platform Training Data Analyst. Okay, let me see, because I'm here right now. I don't want to lose that one, because that's the one he went over today. Am I tripping? I don't think I saw that. Let's go back. What? Do they have it set up some type of special way that I don't get? Cause I think I keep doing that. Where is that gonna clone from? This is the generative AI one. Like, am I tripping? Oh, okay. I'm like, I think I'm tripping. I definitely was. Okay, what is it? Data training analyst. What is it? Training data analyst. There it is. All right, so here, dang it, I'm gonna keep doing that. Course machine learning deep dive 2, ML Ops Vertex AI managed features labs. That's a lot. Course machine learning deep dive ML Ops. All right, I have found the notebook. I just want to see what they're doing in this notebook. The notebook demonstrates how to use Vertex AI feature stores streaming ingestion at the SDK layer. Vertex AI features store. Put that back there. Here, let's do some tabs real quick, because I'm clearly stressing myself out. No, why did I do that? I need to make a group. I don't even know how to do this. There we go. Say docs. Oops. Docs. New tab. Okay. What does this mean? I don't know. Look at me trying to organize my freaking brain. So here's what I'm gonna do. Where is it? Okay, so my docs are there. I'm reading this one. Alright, in this tutorial you will learn how to ingest features from a pandas data frame into your Vertex AI feature store. Create a feature store, create a new entity type for your feature store. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I don't know what feature store is, so this would be helpful for me before I try to do that. I'm not gonna click on samples now, but I really need to spend some time. I need to spend some time in the Vertex AI docs in general, because I've only been coming to the docs when I'm led to from the material, but yeah. So put that at the top of my list. I'm gonna open the, oops, I didn't want it there. I'm gonna open this tab and keep it in this group. Cause I don't think I've like really browsed this at a high level. So put that on the back burner. Let me see. It's 118. I'm gonna get myself set up, and then I'm gonna actually start my timers, because I can already see this is gonna be like a process, which is good. That's fine. Okay, so I have the docs that I want to read. I'll probably do this at the end, unless I find myself looking for some information. I'm gonna read this one first. Which one is this? CLI, yeah. So I'm gonna read that one first. This is informational. This is my lab. This is also informational. That's fine though. Then I got the repos here. So after I read the read about the feature, what's it called? Vertex AI feature store service. Then basically I'm just making my way through this because it looks like there's going to be a lot of stuff I kind of want to read into, and that's why I suggest looking through the lab material before you start it, because since you are going to be on a timer, like I wouldn't want to be trying to read this this whole page on the timer, but I would want to just like thoroughly read through like this one page at the very freaking least, you know what I mean? So yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a bit of reference stuff that I kind of want to go through. So I'm going to try to get a sense of which of these I can kind of read ahead on. Here's the stream ingestion API. And then is there any feature value types? That's a part of the feature store though. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think just the stream ingestion API. Quick start. Oh, this is the actual. While you're sending me to the exact code for it. Feature store. Okay. I don't want to read the source code. I will have it here though, as a reference. All right, so let's do this. Let me take a quick break. Where's my timer? Okay, move that. Start this timer. I know you can't see it. Hold on. Let me do this. All right. Oh, I guess it can sit up here. It's not like there's nothing else over here. All right. Let me stretch and get something to drink. And maybe a snack too. I want to be you when I grow up. Look, man, it's hard. It's hard. All right. No music. All right. I think I'm gonna be good now. Plus, baby boy is taking his nap. I was very careful with his nap time today, so I can at least get a few. I would like to get this lab done. That would be like the main things, but I don't want to rush through it to the point where I can't read this other material. So that's basically what I'm shooting for right now. Hogwarts emo dragon. Yeah, I definitely can identify with having like issues and being able to like basically stay focused on what you're supposed to be doing versus kind of getting off into the weeds. My thing is like analysis paralysis, so that's something that I work on. I do want to kind of have everything already figured out, and like that's a good and a bad thing, honestly. Like it's good to be able to focus on one thing, but you just don't want it to be at the detriment of like getting something done. So I don't know, but for me, I always try to be conscious of, it's like something I'm always working on. So I just try to be conscious of when I'm like, okay, I don't need to like do all of these things just to move forward. Like when I feel myself stagnating, even if it's just in like making a choice on something, I try to push myself to make an imperfect decision, which is hard, but it gets easier over time. And this balance, that's how I deal with issues like that. Because I mean even now I'm like, I'm not excited like I'm excited about what I'm learning, but like I'm also tired. I also would love to take a nap right now, and I have to get in focus mode because nobody's gonna learn this for me. Okay. So, give my brain less things to remember. I'm gonna do feature store. I'm gonna read this first, and I'm gonna read that notebook. And then I'm planning on doing this lab. And then I want to go over the what is this? I want to do like a brief overview into the Vertex documentation. Okay. That's going to keep me from drifting. Only if it's somewhere I can actually see it. Okay. So I got feature store, notebook lab, and then overview of the Vertex AI docs. Let's see. Sessions. I'm gonna go to. I went to 25-minute sessions last night just because it was like midnight. But for this, I'm gonna go back to 55 and short is 10. I always go back and forth on this. Then the long break will be after 2 sessions. All right. Let me see. Have issues of Breathe magazine that will benefit me to read. Same with my resolution of using the fabulous apps to create success for myself, but sometimes I can't even open the apps, and knowing that and why it's happening isn't enough to break out of it. Yeah, I can definitely identify with the struggles. But you mentioned already that you should probably talk about it in therapy, and so if you're being more deliberate to like keep your tasks however you need to, that you already know, like that's probably going to help you out the best, figuring out like how you can personally work through that. But I definitely have experiences in like my own past experience, like I have anxiety and all these other things that I deal with as well. Not necessarily want to put everything out there in my public platform, but so I get where you're coming from. I'm like a big fan of therapy and being self-aware, because otherwise, like I have all these goals and things that I want to accomplish. To me, like you said, it's kind of like you have to find that motivator that gets you to actually make a change. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm at a point now where, at least with what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go with my career, where it's like, okay, yeah, I have a lot of things that I'm going through and I have different challenges that I'm trying to overcome, but at the same time, I guess it's like the pain of not being who I know I can be is more uncomfortable than the pain of like having to grow in the ways that I need to grow, if that makes sense. So and that just that differs from person to person, and figuring that out. But I know I'm at a phase right now where I'm like, I can't, like I gotta keep moving, and then just trying to figure out ways to make things simpler for myself. Like if I like now where it's like, okay, I'm gonna write this on a sticky note, because me sitting here trying to remember every step I said I wanted to take, and I got all these tabs open. I already know myself, like I'm gonna get distracted. And we streaming, we chatting and stuff too, so I already know I'm gonna get distracted. So I'm like always trying to do little things to keep myself in balance, if that makes sense. Okay, so 55-minute session. This is what we're about to do right now. And I'm gonna eat while I read these docs. Deploy Heroku on Friday. Yes, that's awesome. All right, I'm ready to start the lab now. I'm having like a slightly hard time focusing, but I'm just about to power through it honestly because I'm trying to get used to studying, you know, and I'm only gonna have to study more hours of the week, not less. So I think I just kind of have to work through some of these like moments. But if I still feel like I'm having a hard time focusing, then I'm gonna I might drop my session time down from like 55 to back to 25. All right, so did I hit start already? No, it's not. So let's start this with 5 credits. I'm gonna open an incognito window so I can sign in. All right, so open this incognito, and then other thing I want to do. I think I usually put the instructions over here. It's a window in a window. Oh, okay. All right, let me get my password. Hold on, I just thought about something. That was not what I wanted to do. All right. Hogwarts Emo Dragon, I appreciate the support, but definitely go focus on you. If you need to take some time away or whatever you need to do to kind of get yourself feeling better, definitely do that. I appreciate y'all being here, but you know, everybody has lives. I totally understand. All right, so let's see. We are in the cloud shell. Oh, I need to wait. Hold on. I hate having to minimize it like this because I can't get rid of this little window on the left. All right, so let's activate cloud shell. Top right of the console. Oh, this one right here. Okay. Oh, we don't need this over here because I have one on the screen for I can't see nothing down here. Well, I can, but I gotta work at it a little bit. Can I do this? Oh boy. All right. So we're in Shell. We gotta do some installations now. So my project ID is set for me. But if I wanted to, I would do gcloud config set project and give it a different project ID if I needed to. Okay, so list the active account name. Gcloud. Oh, hello. There we go. Gcloud auth list. Add authorize. All right, gcloud config list. Oops. All right, so now enable notebooks API. Navigation, APIs and services. Library. So then I usually come in here and search notebooks, API. So we have to enable that. How long is it gonna take? Oh, my bad. Oh my goodness. I skipped from this line to this button. Okay. I also have to enable. Oh gosh. Okay. Library. Vertex. Alright, here we go. Taking step back from job a vibe. Well, Squared Mode, welcome in. It should be good now. I wasn't reading properly. That's why I really don't like when I have to scrunch everything up like this, because I mean it's a quality of life thing, but like dang. I feel like that everything's so jumbled, and then I also need it to be like zoomed in. If I wasn't streaming, I would have these on different windows, but you know, for the sake of y'all seeing what the heck I'm doing. All right, so now we can go into Vertex AI Notebook. Well, it's instance, so Vertex is all the way at the bottom with the, why don't they pin the AI stuff? Oh, come on now. Oh God, I don't even know what I just clicked on. Here we go. Vertex AI Workbench. The new workbook. TensorFlow Enterprise 211. It's showing me something. The way it's showing me is not exactly what's going on here. I don't want to hit this, but I do at the same time. Manage notebooks. Hold on. I need to have my phone on Do Not Disturb. This is about to get on my nerves, but for now, all right. So we are supposed to be in TensorFlow Enterprise 211 LTS without GPUs under User Managed Notebooks. Why is this UI different? On the notebook instances page. Yeah, see, it's just, it's not the machine type, it's the environment. Well, there's only 1 to 11. without GPUs. I can't. I guess, I don't know. I guess they changed the UI of how you do this. But, let's see. So let me do, why is it different up here? This one's different, right, than this one. Tell me what region I need to be in. Ooh. My magic mouse is kind of stressing me out. I didn't mean to swipe away from what I was doing. So I can keep the region in the zone. Alright, so let's just go with this. Central. I think I'm usually in US Central. For some of the ML stuff. And then the environment. Alright, so go back and let's do it this way. We're on 211. This is the only 211 option for TensorFlow, so oh, here's a option to attach the GPU, so I'm gonna skip that. Use the default networks, I guess, and hit create. User, oh, there it is. Then what? Oh, click open Jupyter Lab. It takes 2 to 3 minutes for the VM to start. Then I can open Jupyter Lab, and then if you see build recommended pop up, click build. If you see the build failed, ignore it. Okay, if you say so. I'm not gonna argue with that. I haven't really been watching any new movies lately. It's some stuff like I wouldn't mind seeing if it was like easy, but I've been focused on other things I have to do. What I really want to do is spend a little time gaming. That's what I really want to do. I want to play some more Starfield, but my computer was like tripping on Starfield. That's the last new game I played. I still haven't opened Spider-Man 2. I don't have Tekken 8 yet. I want that game though. Alright, so we can open our lab now. Jupyter Lab. No. All right, so where are we going? Does it say build recommended? No, it doesn't. All right, so I should be able to check my instance progress. Good. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna clone the repo so we can open this notebook right here. Okay, let's do this because that's gonna always throw me off. Wait. Oh, click the terminal icon. I think it's kind of down in the corner. I can't see it though. You get bigger. All right. Let's clone this. It doesn't matter where I clone it. Wait, did I copy the whole? Yeah. All right, got 10 more minutes in this working session, so that means I'll probably get everything set up, I guess. Hogwarts emo jacker. I hope you just, do the best you can with what you have, honestly. Like, we can't really go back. All we can do is go forward. Plus Twitch is a lot of work to grow. And you don't control what people do, whether they watch or not. All you can control is your content. You can, try to see what it is that people are interested in. You can try to make things, you can try to have, the right kind of content, so to speak. But yeah, Twitch is like a really hard platform to grow, despite what a lot of people sometimes think. And you still, you got to start where you are regardless. If you have issues with how much space you have on your hard drive, if you have like Google Drive or something like that where you can store stuff, usually what I do when my hard drive gets full, because my hard drive is not that big, I put them in Google Drive, as much files as I can put on there, for like old recordings and stuff like that. Or I have like some really, 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 like a really old external hard drive that I still use. I've held on to over the years, and it's kind of always my little backup. But yeah, like an online storage or something like that can help you free up some stuff. And then just maybe just going through and cleaning up anything that you could do without if you really need the space. Like, I have to delete games all the time because some of those games, especially nowadays, are so huge. And even my PC, I bought my PC probably like 2018, 2019, around the time I first started streaming. So it's a little dated. Okay, so I'm here. I did this. This should be good. I want to get back into streaming some games. I really do. Because that's how I started out streaming on Twitch. But it's really picking and choosing your battles and where you want to focus. So I've been really just more so doing coding on my channel now. I think that once I have my like a steady production schedule that I see myself adhering to based on what it is I'm trying to do with my content, then that's when I'll feel a little bit better to just like spend some time working on like game streams and stuff like that. But in all honesty, I can only focus on one thing at a time and get that working and get that in a good space before trying to go off on tangents. That's really how I try to keep myself focused, because I'll be all over the place otherwise. Ingest features. All right. In order to perform all tasks, read all explanations and follow the instructions. All right, so we're about to go into the notebook. So in the notebook interface, navigate to the feature store streaming ingestion SDK. So here, let's go here. It ain't gotta be this big, dang. Wait. There we go. And then courses. Which one of these is it? ML Ops? I think it might be this one. Labs. Leisure. Yep. Okay. So you go away now. All right. So ooh, no. Oh my goodness. This freaking mouse is about to make me so mad. Like, I don't understand. Am I like dragging my fingers now? I'm always accidentally swiping on it. Okay, click edit and clear all outputs. Okay, that's a helpful feature I never used before. Carefully read through the notebook and fill in lines marked with to do where you need to complete the code. Shift enter to run your cell, and then everything else I can find under run. Okay, so we are at the beginning. I'm just gonna shift enter on everything because if there's no code to run, no code will run. But let's make this a little bit smaller so I can actually read this. All right. That way I can easily skip through. And then how much time do I have? Like an hour? Hour. Okay. Milk, thank you for following. I think that says milk, right? Let's see. Y'all be having some names on there. Okay. I noticed that I keep extrapolating in comments, and it's a better idea to post them on Live Journal. Yeah, it's good to have somewhere that you have like kind of long running history of like thoughts. I keep physical journals and I keep digital journals, and like I go all over the place. So it depends on where I was at that time in my life, what I'm doing with that information. Like trying to pick like a central spot going forward. I like physical writing more than anything else. But digital is really convenient, and I can never run out of pages. Alright, so I'm gonna have to create a pandas data frame that contains my features. This tutorial uses the following services. I think I already enabled them. So we're gonna learn about a feature store and an entity type. The dataset used for this notebook is the Penguins dataset from BigQuery public datasets. Every time I click on this link, I think it's gonna tell me what all the datasets are, and it doesn't. So I'm gonna go looking for those at some point. Use a different journal for each journey. I mean, that sounds like a good idea, unless you're the type of person like me who, if I put things into many different areas, then it will just cause me to never actually follow through, because then I'll spend more time trying to think about which journal I should write it in and how should I divide the journals up versus just journaling. But that does sound like that's kind of how that's why I end up having things in a bunch of different places. I'll be like, oh, this is related to like a tech project or like something I'm learning for this thing, so I'm gonna put it over here, and then this is for a different project, so I'm gonna put it over there. And like now I'm like, I just want one journal, that's it. I just want a journal. It's somewhere I go to consistently. Try to minimize the number of decisions I have to make. Alright, so the data set has column and length, column and depth, flipper length, body mass, species, and sex. Those are the features for the penguins data set. So is it okay? All right. So let's do this one. I don't think I skipped anything. It said I can ignore dependency errors. Was that it? Yeah. Select or create a Google Cloud project. Where am I doing that? I want to use the project I already have, right? We already did all this, right? All right, so in terminal, run gcloud config list. Can I yeah. All right, so my project ID is here. I'm trying to decide, am I going to go for a walk after I'm done with this, or am I going to take a nap? Okay. Reframing what you can do with your journal. Yeah. I just been I usually keep a journal. I always keep a physical journal, but sometimes I have more than one. I'm definitely I like to write, like have a physical notebook and stuff like that, even though I use my calendar, I use notes, I use Notion, I use Google Docs, I use Obsidian, I use all these different apps, but I just use different things for different purposes, I guess. All right, so hello, that one should be good. I'm gonna leave the region alone. All right, so let's import the libraries. Project ID in the region. So I set both of those already, so that should work fine. This might take a second. Download and prepare the data. So download BigQuery table takes the URI to the table, which is a string, and then it's going to return the data frame. Remove the prefix from the data table because the rest of it is probably the directory path you need. BigQuery table reference from string. Create a BigQuery client. Download the table rows. All right, so just convert the table data into a data frame, right? Is that it? Shift enter. Oh, we're not doing nothing yet. It's just creating the function. BQ source. All right, so let's download the data. Feature values to be written to the feature store can take the form of a list of write feature values payload objects. So this is a dictionary where you have the entity ID, then you have a colon, and then here is another object or dictionary where you have a feature ID and then the value for the feature. You can list multiple features that way. So you either send in this form of the data or a pandas data frame. The index column hosts the unique entity ID strings, and each remaining column represents a feature. So does the BigQuery client handle the output format? Probably, to make sure it matches, so that we have the index column and then the other columns we need. Dot index. What string is this? that? That's just a type, right? Is that saying what type I'm supposed to? I'm a little bit thrown off by this portion right here, because that seems like a setting a data type. Remove null values. The data frame.index.map. Not Python. Pandas. Data frame. Pandas. Why you need to see my location? Map values using an input mapping or function. Wait, is this what I'm looking for? Hold on. Dang it. That's not really what I'm looking for. Do I have duet? I don't think I have duet. This is when I should be able to just wait over here. All right. Create the feature store and define schemas. Is my whole step just the notebook right now? Yeah. Okay. Feature store, then entity type, then feature. Let's create these resources before you can ingest data. All right, so we should be able to create the feature store now. Oops. Yeah, I did that one. Feature store ID is the ID to use for this feature store, which will become the final component of the feature store's resource name. Value must be unique within project and location. Online store fixed node count is configured for online serving resources. Project to create the entity type in. If not set, project set in AI platform init is used. Location to create entity type in, and then sync whether to execute this synchronously. Alright. Check if the feature store was successfully created by running the following code block. It should print. Wait, was the other one not done? Oh, wait, hold on. I thought this one was done. I didn't mean to jump ahead like that. Bookly, I haven't tried Bookly. I either use physical books or I check out digital books from my library. Audible, physical book, or checking out, unless I can find like a PDF of it. But I'm a big fan of Audible. Oh wait, I was supposed to have been took a break, huh? And I accidentally left on 5-minute breaks. I left on 5-minute breaks for 55-minute working. It's fine. Not that I can really take a break. My lab is running. But what is going on here? Oh, Hoopla. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I don't usually reread books. My thing is more so getting through my backlog of reading, which is all mostly, a lot of stuff is in Audible unless I physically bought a copy. Audible with the physical book is the best. I don't like switching back and forth personally, because the reason that I do physical book and the reason that I do audiobook is different situations. So it's rare that I'm reading a book that I actually would be trying to consume in both formats. Usually I listen to stuff that's more passive. And then my physical books are more like tech books. Sometimes I buy I do buy some books that are more like quote unquote self-help or whatever, professional development, or like business books, things like that, I'll buy physical copies just because sometimes it's good to just actually sit down and read and just be focused on reading a physical book versus usually with Audible, I'm more likely to start multitasking with Audible. So yeah, I use Audible more so for like, oh, I'm about to listen to a book while I'm like cleaning up the kitchen or cooking or something where I'm gonna be doing something else in the background. I have a couple books on my desk right now that I have to finish, so, and then I have some tech books that I have to finish too. But the audiobook I'm on right now is Atomic Habits, I think. Yeah, I'm on Atomic Habits right now. It's my break though. No. I'm like trying to rush through the break. It's only 5 minutes. You say you have those books. Have you read any of them? I'm not familiar with Broad Daylight, but it sounds like it doesn't sound pleasant. Oh, they finally went through? Okay. Let's... I'm gonna leave the timer for now just because, well, I might as well run it. I just feel like regardless of how long this timer is, when I get done with this lab, I'm gonna be done. All right, so we can create an entity type now. Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind avoiding the true crime talk, that would be preferable for me. I try not to dig too deep into the issues of the world when I can avoid it for my own sanity. Wait, write feature values to write the feature to the feature store. Feature values to be written to the store can take the form of a list or data frame. Oops. Want to read physics books, but it's hard to concentrate. Well, try to break it up. That's why I was like, I'm gonna 55 minutes is a long time, actually, really. If I can't focus for that long, I want to go down to like I might just do 10 minutes at a time. Like, just try to, I want to make sure I read what I read, that I process it. But if you have a hard time focusing in a way that's more like, I don't know, like when I was in school, they had student disability services, and like at one point when I was having a lot of issues concentrating, then they were able to help me get my books in like an audio format, because that was more helpful for me at that time. Especially this was like back way before like we could find as much stuff online as we could. Especially textbooks. Textbooks is hard to find, and your textbook is not going to be on Audible, you know. So they will convert. They will find formats or convert stuff over, or excuse me, have different softwares I could use to read through my PDFs. Wait a few seconds for the write to propagate, then do an online read to confirm it was successful. I think that was more than some seconds. So these are all of the instances of the penguin entity or penguin entity type. Hold on, wait a minute. It's a chuck. What is this? Is a Chucky? I don't know what's happening with my computer. Go away. Oh, Bell Love. You changed your name. How you been doing though? See, I figured you must change your name, but I wouldn't have, if I would have saw that pop up on Twitch, I wouldn't even know. How are you, Belle? I don't really use headway or Blinkist, honestly. I I've at least downloaded headway before, but if I'm being honest, I don't identify with the idea that we should just like get cliff note versions of books just to like actually grow from the principles, because a lot of what helps you grow is not just the principles from the book, but like actually going through that material, the context, the way it's broken down, the way you might be able to identify with it. So I always feel like it's a little cheap for me personally, because I read like a lot of personal growth type of books, or like I said, personal growth, development, like business. I read a lot of books like that would be in headway, and I don't think it's that impactful to just like get this cliff note summary of the whole book. That's just me. I can see why people like it, but I don't see a lot of it sticking as well, at least for me personally. What else should I do? Oh gosh. Doing amazing. That's so good. Yeah. I'm doing well. Wait. Okay. I don't want to clean up yet, I don't think. Let me check. Read through the notebooks and complete the code. Ingest features. Let me see if I don't really. Okay, perfect. Are we done? Just about. That should have been it. Okay, yeah, that was it. I'm feeling okay about this lab. I feel like I need to go through that again, but wait, hold on. Let's go back here. I think we can clean up the... Yeah, we can clean up the project now. Okay, we're done. When I end this, it's gonna kick me out of there anyways in lab. Oh boy. I'm gonna give this a 3. It's probably really me more so than the lab. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come back to it. I think it's a good demo, but for it to be used as like an intro lab, I thought it was gonna have a couple more steps towards the end, but I think, you know, that's just more so a matter of what material they have available right now. So if I go next, hello, next.
Congratulations.
I didn't finish the course.
Managed features course. Throughout the course, you were introduced to the features.
This is probably why I'm up here complaining, but Okay, never mind. I feel bad. I gave it a 3, but I also didn't go through the course itself. I just went to the lab. Okay. You know, yep, kick me out. All right. Wait, where's my fancy window that had all the cute tabs? Oh, here we go. The way I embarrassingly know so little about coding, what you are doing makes me feel sad and dumb. You should not feel sad or dumb. Well, I can't say you shouldn't feel sad because maybe you do want to know more, but I also barely know what I'm doing right now. I was just going through a lab in Google Cloud Skills Booth, so they just have like an online platform. So I was going through a lab, so they were walking me through every single step. But a lot of what I'm focused on right now is machine learning related, unless it's like client work. Although I do have some machine learning project coming up. I have been following a course called Google Startup School GenAI. So that's the course I've been following, the one that's pinned. So every Tuesday and Thursday they host a live session. So we watched the live workshop earlier, and then I was just trying to use a lab to practice. No dumbness, people. Learn and learn. Never too late to learn or too early to quit. Yep. And my brain is like mush. You know, it's all good. It's all good. This is the type of moment where I'm like, I do need to get back into gaming. Just for the sake of like freeing up some brain power. Thanks for jumping in with the motivation preaching. Balancing with games ain't bad. Yeah, I need it because I'm doing too much. Sleep is good also, but like, yeah, I need like a fun pastime type thing. No responsibility, no stress, no nothing. Just that's what I was saying earlier. Like I don't have my PC hooked up ever since I moved my desk, so I still need to do that. And honestly, that's kind of been one of the main reasons I haven't really played anything in a minute, because I don't think I installed The Sims on here. What games can I play on my Wait, should I have Steam on my Mac? I think I should. They've been really trying to push this gaming mode on us. Not stream, Steam. Wait, let me go to my other profile. Am I that used to type in StreamYard, Stream Deck, streamers.moobert? Steam. That's a cute. On a scale of 0 to 100, my knowledge is negative 54%. Oh, goodness. I love to watch and listen to your coding streams because you're so knowledgeable and I know 0%, but it's still fun. I'm just showing y'all this is my process. It's not perfect, but I'm trying to be way more transparent about like the different layers of the process. Here, let's see if I can sign myself in. Do you have a date? I can't respond to that yet. What am I trying to do? Do I have Steam on my phone? Steam. Where do I find this little QR code thingy? And don't worry, I will be refreshing this in case anybody thinks that they're gonna try to sign in. Hold on, how do I do this? Where do I find this? Oh, is this it? I don't want to do that. That's too much work. All right, let's go sign in because I'm not about to do that. Should have credentials. All right, I did all of this, so I can do this. 26 million online. Fizzy, welcome in. Yeah, but if I scan the QR code, I thought it was supposed to be getting scanned into the actual app, or is it gonna open the app? Wait, did I move it over? What? These freaking reactions are so funny. Now you won't do it. But when I'm sitting here and not minding my own business, then it'll do it. That's funny. Did you ever say hello? Are you talking to me, Fizzy? Because if so, I definitely did. I don't know what I just did. Yeah, see, I didn't think this was meant for you to just scan directly. I thought this was meant for you to scan in the app because they have an authenticator service, but I don't have authenticator set up. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, see, I'm not doing that. That's what I put. Oh. Account name, that's wrong. Sign me in. Why are you not doing what I told you to do? I just... Oh, never mind. That was not the same. Oh dang, I didn't even finish what I was doing. All right, I might end up having to set myself something up on here because I still, let's see, I still gotta go back and set up my PC. That's a whole nother problem. Wait, I'm trying to. People liked Baldur's Gate, huh? I heard a lot of talk about the game. Wait, what? Oh, fancy. Okay. All right, well, at least that's set up. I just feel like I need something set up at my desk. I was thinking, I thought I set up my remote play for my PlayStation, but I'm not sure. How would it? I don't know if I set it up. I know I set it up, but I don't know if it was on this computer. I haven't really been playing very many games lately. The last game that I started was Starfield, and that was back when it first, a little bit after it first came out. I haven't really been playing anything. I definitely haven't gotten to play anything new. So this will be a step in the positive direction in that regard. I just kind of killed this timer. Let me see. 'Cause I got some stuff to do. I've been pretty disconnected from games too. Yeah, I'm itching for it. I just been trying to not go and spend all my time on games because I also can be that person. All right. Okay, I'm starting the raid so that I can get prepared and be ready to just hop over. Wait, so Belle, did you change your Discord at all? I think I should still be in there because I feel like I want to message you. I know you play on... Ooh. Oh, it's closed? Wait, but do you still have Discord? I wonder if we are friends on Discord. Okay, how does one find a friend on Discord? Do you... I have to know your screen name or something. Oops. I hope that was you because I just sent it. I think I just sent you a request. It went through so quick. I thought it was gonna like give me the option to pick from a drop down or something. It just sent it. Okay, good.